Everyone, welcome to Streamin' Terror. I am joined by the always great and amazing and totally not sucking up to Phoenix, or aka Back to Ashes.
Somebody help, she has me tied up again. Hi everyone.
You make it too easy.
Not when you're threatening to douse me with water, Jesus.
No, I threatened you with a vacuum, remember?
Oh, that's right.
You're back to ashes. You can't be back to ashes if I just vacuum you up. Good evening, Sydney. I'm happy that you're okay. September Dragon Audio. The Cryptid Sleeps. Wow, my brain did not want to read that properly for some reason. And thank you also for the super chat. And I saw her earlier, Scare Wifey as well. And
I'd like to give a big shout out to House of Jen. Hi.
Hi, House of Jen. Welcome. You're a new face here too. And also thank you for the super chat, the Cryptid Sleeps. Thank you so much.
And hello. What is it, December Dragon now?
No, I just go September now. I don't do this much.
Okay.
I also wanted to give a heads up that I am waiting for a very important phone call right now. So if I disappear and lovely Phoenix just starts narrating, it's because he's taking over while I try to take the important phone call I've been waiting for all day. So I was expecting it way before this, just haven't gotten it yet. So it looks like we've got Fictional Stories, Ghost Stories 1 over everything, but Fictional Stories is a close second. So I'm gonna go find. Did you want to go first or me for stories?
This is your channel. Please start it off.
It's rude. Why do I have to read?
No, if you want me to start, I've already got something pulled up, actually. If you want me to start.
Yeah, go ahead. I haven't done that yet. I need my spreadsheet because, I'm a professional.
Okay, let's see here. I'm going to start off with a paranormal story.
Okay.
This one is medium in length, so you all kick back, relax, and here we go. I have never written down this story, and the sub seemed like a great place to share it. When I was 10 or 11, I was living with my mom and sister in a super old rural farmhouse, probably from the early 1900s, in North Carolina, town of Loomis. Basically a 3-bedroom and a 1-bath house with a cellar and attic with lots of land for horses and fruit trees. So one hot summer day, when my sister and my mother and I were all home, I was playing Warcraft 2 or something on my computer and started to hear extremely loud and violent banging on the walls. It was literally rattling the windows. Being rather absorbed in my game playing, I let it go until a few minutes had passed, at which point my what the hell meter had reached its limit, and I had to figure out what was causing it. Naturally, I assumed my sister, who was 16 at the time, was being stupid and was kicking the wall with both legs. That's how loud it sounded. But she wasn't. In fact, she assumed I was doing the same. It confused us both because it was even louder than a human could kick the wall. It sounded like a freaking car ran into the house over and over for several hours. We grabbed our mom, who indicated she heard the same thing. None of us were doing it. We looked on the roof and in the attic, both of which were totally clear. The pipes, the plumbing, the electrical had herefore and therefore never made each violent noises. So we were totally at a loss as to what was making that horrible, violent banging noise. It shook the window panes and could be heard throughout the entire house. No way it could have been an earthquake because the floor wasn't shaking. We just heard such loud banging. Coincidentally, this was the same day a family friend's son had died. Although I don't know why that would have had anything to do with it. Some other creepy stuff happened in that house. Not on the same day, but throughout the 3 years we lived there. I would feel a presence walk out of my mom's bedroom and through the living room behind me when I was in there playing video games. My mom also dreamt that a brown smoke was trying to enter her abdomen. She was paralyzed and couldn't scream, but I heard her struggling through the wall. We have a weird shared closet with a door in between our rooms, and woke her up. Another time I went down into the basement to look for something. I seem to remember. Hang on a second. Sorry, I screwed that up. I seem to remember I was checking on the kittens, to which our cat had given birth down there, and a strange black mist slowly covered my foot, promptly making me to get the hell out of there. I never went back down there. Screw cellars, man. I'm guessing that this has. I am so sorry, there's a lot of typos here. I'm guessing that this had to do with the fact that my mom practiced witchcraft and actually was in a coven for years. What the hell was it? We never determined the source. We looked all around the perimeter of the house and literally everywhere we could think of, and saw nothing to explain the banging. My dad also went on to die, probably less than a year after this, when we were still living there. Maybe it was a weird premonition. Would love to hear your thoughts, or if you've had similar experiences. There you go. I'm so sorry, everyone. That was so full of typos there.
Totally happens though.
Yeah, it does.
Alright, just 1 second, guys. Okay. I've got a story picked up right now. I just want to say quickly, welcome Lance, Interscare, and Nova. Welcome everyone to the.
Oh, is that Interscare's here, huh?
Yes, I was about to say coffee stream. It's not coffee stream.
Hello, Interscare. How are you? Hello, Nova. And Lance's creepy reading, especially Nova. Hey, Nova.
All right, I got another story. I got story picked up. I got a fictional one ready to go.
Wait, I'm sorry. What does that mean, Interscare? We'll tell you. It's all right. I'm sorry, 42. Go ahead.
It's all good. The man in the Yes, totally mess up at the very beginning. That's great. The man in the black coat. Danny has been my friend ever since childhood. Even back then, he had this compulsive need to help others. I remember him once taking on 3 bullies at once because they were tormenting a little kid that lived on our street. 20 years onwards, nothing had changed. He often found himself in the hospital after taking on thugs in the street for causing problems with random people. About a week ago, Danny called me, and a couple of my friends telling us he wanted to talk to us, said something really strange had happened and needed to talk. We met up at his apartment that day, and when we got there, he wasn't himself. He looked white as he had seen a ghost. I asked him what was the matter, and he just asked us to sit down. We did as he asked, knowing he would tell us in his own time. About 10 minutes of complete silence has passed before Danny had started talking. It all seemed like a nightmare, but then again, it probably was. His voice was shaky. Whatever he was about to tell us, we knew it really freaked him out. None of us had ever seen him like this before. I was walking down the corridor to the apartment, and I heard a woman screaming from down the hall, so I went to check it out like anyone would. I tried to open the door, and it was locked, so I reacted on instinct and broke down the door. He had taken another pause and started looking more anxious. I looked at the two girls that were in the room with us, and they seemed to be excited to hear what happened, like it was some kind of ghost story that someone would tell around a campfire. But to be honest, I was becoming more interested as well. There was a man, at least it looked like a man. He was dressed in black with a hooded cloak covering his face, but I was more concerned with his hands. At this point, the girls were on the edge of their seat, and I found myself starting to as well. In one hand, he was holding what looked like a large machete, and in the other, he was holding a screaming woman by her hair. I didn't have time to think. Color started to come back to his face, and there was excitement in his voice, like he was just having an adrenaline rush. I grabbed the hand that was holding the blade by the wrist and punched him in the face. He let go of the woman, so I threw him out the hall and went to hit him again, but the tone of his voice lowered and all the color faded almost as quickly as it came. He looked like a rabbit caught in a pair of headlights. Before I could make contact, he disappeared. He just vanished in a haze of gray. I couldn't stop my punch, and I hit the wall. His expression started to change again to confusion. The woman came out of her apartment, yelling at me, saying, "What do you think you're doing?" She was asking if I was proud of myself for scaring her like that, and she started ranting about her door. I didn't know what to say, so I went to the owner's office, asking if I could look at the security tapes. He said sure and took me to see it. When we looked at the tapes, there was nothing, just footage of me breaking down the door and punching a hole in the wall. He was pretty mad, so I had to apologize, telling him I don't know what came over me and I'll pay for the damages. Nobody said anything for about 5 minutes. I guess we were all trying to process what we had just been told. "He's here." Danny's eyes widened in fear at this, and he started staring at Sam, one of the girls that was with us, looking over. I couldn't stop myself from staring. She appeared to be in a trance, her eyes wide and unblinking, a grin stretching across her face. I was so focused on her that I didn't realize that Jess had the same look on her face. Danny gave a small laugh. "Nice try, you two. You guys can't scare me that easily." My attention was broken from the two girls and was now fixed on Danny. I felt my blood leave my face. The two girls were now talking in unison and monotone. "You're going to die." Danny turned his attention to me. I opened my mouth to warn him, but I was frozen with fear. The only thing my voice would allow me to say was, "Behind you." I could only sit there and watch as Danny turned around to be staring at the hooded figure. With a single swipe of its blade, he slashed Danny's head from his shoulders before there was a chance for a single drop of blood to be spilled. The figure and Danny vanished in a haze of gray. "Are you okay?" Sam seemed to be back to normal. "You look like you just saw a ghost," Jess added. "Danny," the two girls looked at me blankly, and then at the same time asked, "Who's Danny?" That's the end of that story.
I'm sitting here trying to talk to you, and my damn microphone's on mute.
Well, of course it's on mute. It's supposed to be on mute. I read a story.
Yeah. While you were telling that awesome story, we've got Shady that joined the chat, and he's trying to hurt me now. And let's see here, the Cryptid Sleep. At first, they thought I was an AI.
I mean,
I'm not an AI.
Shh.
This is my real voice.
It is. I can vouch for that being his real voice, guys.
Oh yeah,
I'm also Interscare could vouch for that being your real voice.
Interscare can, yeah. You definitely, because I've done so many stories where we've collabed or I've just lent my voice and stuff, and you've gotten to hear like my head voice now. You've heard my monster voice. You've heard everything.
Yes, I really have. I have heard all your voices.
That was a chilling performance. Amazing reading of that story. Yes, it sure was, Noah. It sure was. Let's see. You've got 8 votes here. So,
Which one?
wow. Fictional just jumped ahead. Oh.
Alright, you do a fictional one, and I will go find a paranormal one.
Uno momento, por favor.
Change places.
I've got to bring up something that's not, too gross or whatever.
Yeah, I scanned that one. It didn't seem too bad. The problem is, you only got so much time to find a new story.
Yeah. I'm trying to go to one of my favorite authors here. But he has been writing a little too dark lately. It's not anything that I want to read on a live.
Fair. It's hard to trigger warning after the fact.
Yeah. I'm not going to go with this story because this is a little too... Let's see here. Let's see what the chat says. It started, so I may be a bit of a new... Aw, the Cryptid Sleeps. I actually do think I heard one of your videos. You do a fantastic job, actually. Interscare, go to hell.
He's a squeaky bird AI reading. If you want to know more female narrators, Cryptid, I actually can and on Twitter there's a female narrator chat thing that I can add you to if you want.
Oh, she hasn't been introduced to the community. There we go.
I'm not sure yet. I mean, to be fair, I did this for a year before I found the community, so I can't say much.
Gotcha. Okay, so this one I do believe is a fictional story. What are you all saying now? Okay. You're gonna tell him you're gonna make him use the US. No, oh my God. Interscare, don't ever say that again. Jesus, no. A USB mic in my studio?
USB mic is what I use.
And he just... Interscare's he's picking on me because he knows how much of an audiophile and like tech geek I am because we're both the same way.
I'm gonna sneak into your studio, switch the mics on you. You would kill me. I would be a dead person. Luckily, I'm a necromancer. I'd be fine. It won't stick.
USB mics they've come a long way. I'm not knocking them all. Like there's some being released now, and they actually do sound good. It's just once you get converted over to XLR, you don't go back. The sound is just incredible. Anyway, let me shut up. I'm supposed to be reading a story here. I'm so sorry. Okay, so where'd it go? I think it's this one right here. Okay, here it goes. Here it is. Oh no, this is not. I no longer take. Okay, yes, here it is. I'm so sorry. All right, this one is entitled I No Longer Take Walks Alone Now. My mother lives in a neighborhood that isn't exactly in a bad part of town, but it's considered on the border. I suffer from insomnia, especially when I am stressed. I also tend to be able to see more and hear more. I'd like to explain that I've seen paranormal and clairvoyant stuff in my dreams, and when I am at low points in my life, when I am stressed. I was currently in a job transition and participating in a musical program that took a lot of time from studies. I was that stressed. It was 1 a.m. during late October, early November. I live in Pennsylvania, so it gets pretty cold. I decided to throw on a hoodie and take a walk around the neighborhood. Preface: a few summers ago, my sister and I walked past this house that was abandoned, and dead bodies were being pulled out. This was the house where addicts and suicidal people went to die. So I went walking around the block and towards that property. They tore down the house soon after my sister and I witnessed what happened. And the street light near that house has never turned on in the 5 years I've lived in this neighborhood with my mom. The moment I step on the curb closest to where the house used to be, the light flickers on. I sprinted home and never slept that night. I did the same thing for 2 more weeks, except I took my dog. When passing, my dog would growl and bark. The light always turned on. I went a different time each week because of my work schedule, but it was always between 1 to 3 a.m. This ruled out the streetlight being on a timer. Excuse me. It is also not motion censored because cars drive up and down the street all the time without it turning on. I no longer walk around at night, especially alone. I also have more stories ranging from being able to certain things at cemeteries and experiences that have involved other people. Okay, there's the end of that one. I'm so sorry, you all. I don't have enough time to read these to see if they're typed out well. Let's see here. Chat says you were cursed to use a Yeti snowball for the. Oh my god. A Yeti snowball. I will drive up there again in her sleep and use that actual snowball and throw it at you when it starts snowing. Bye, Dark Little Voices. Thank you for popping in.
Dark Little Voices.
Beginner microphone. The Cryptid Sleeps. Okay. Does anyone have a recommendation on a beginner microphone? The only one I have is not very good, maybe something under 150. You can try Elgato's Wave 3 microphone. It was one of the USB mics that I started out on, and it's incredible. And now that Elgato has caught up, they're trying to be a force to be reckoned with. Whenever you buy one of their products, especially that microphone, it does come with its own EQ program. So I would highly recommend that one. If not, then maybe the Samsung Q2U.
Yep, that's exactly what I was going to recommend.
Yeah, that one's.
I had a lemon, but I know the mic is normally really good. I just had a really weird defect on mine, which I didn't realize till it was too late to return it.
I don't knock the Blue Yeti. I mean, the Blue Yeti is perfect. You just
Which is
gotta
what I use.
Yeah, you just got to be really careful and hope that where you're recording doesn't have a loud echo because the Blue Yeti are extremely sensitive.
They are, but that's why a lot of ASMR people use it too, is because of how sensitive it is.
That is correct, Inner Scare. He just made a point. The new Rode Pod mic, the old ones used to be XLR only. Rode has recently released a newer version of it that's XLR and USB, and it sounds incredible. Incredible. I use the Blue Yeti. That's the very first microphone I had was the Blue Yeti. I just didn't like it.
Technically, the Blue Yeti is my third mic, but my first mic was, I don't even know what brand it was. I just know that it was a mic that was in our house. Ew.
And then of course cryptid sleeps. Try to stay on like I'm not quite gonna say name brand. I mean, you can buy whatever you want, but try to stay within the brands that you just heard because they're really, really good.
Yeah. And the funny part is I actually have a midnight blue Yeti. So I actually have a real blue Yeti.
Yep, there you
The
go.
color
And
is
see,
blue.
Interscare also made, I didn't finish that, but yeah, when you're ready to convert over to XLR, the pod mic is a really good mic to do that. And then two, the pod mic also sounds, if you EQ it correctly, it sounds just like a Shure SM7B. I know because I had one before I finally bought the Shure SM7B. Yeah,
And you learned a lesson. You didn't need it.
yeah. Don't get me started about electronics. I'll be here all night.
We will be. Y'all will be
Yeah.
sleeping and he'll still be going. And then I got this mic, and then I did the research on this mic, and then I did the research on that mic. So I decided to go back with first mic. And and all the mics do not have very good names. They're like expensive cars. Do you notice how expensive cars have like the stupidest names ever? They're like
Yeah.
numbers and letters. That's what expensive mics are.
Sheesh.
They're run of letters and numbers, and it's like I can't remember what this is.
Pretty much. Pretty much.
The cheap
And
ones
just
are the ones with the normal names.
And well, I know like there's narrators out there and they have like little microphones and stuff set up for their gaming because they're gamers more than they are a narrator. And they
Yes.
want to use, those gaming mics and it just makes your audio not sound good unless you really are a master at EQing. But EQing itself is a whole totally different entity to tackle.
Yeah,
EQing is it's crazy. All right. I think this is one. Oh, yeah, it's your turn. Tag, you're it.
yeah, I know. We're just gonna wait a couple seconds and then I'll go. I got an ad coming up here, pretty quick here. Actually, I'll just do this. I don't care about it. All right.
Oh, really? Is that the original pod mic or the new one, Interscare?
You'll read it. I'm gonna start reading.
Okay, I'm sorry.
It's all
Right.
good. I'm just starting now. 3 knocks and lady repeatedly screams by Rando Coco. First time posting here, and this is not my only paranormal experience, just the most recent. November 16th, 2023 at 3:26 in Toronto, Canada. Yay, it's a Canadian story. I woke up and heard a lady on the street just yelling, "Please help me." I'll repeat. I'm on around this 12th floor, so the sound was coming from down the street. Initially, I didn't think much of it, but from the moment I woke up, I already felt something wasn't right. And within 5 seconds of me getting up, I heard 3 knocks on the wall. And that sent chills down my spine. At this point, I got scared and knew something is definitely not right. At this point, I got scared and knew something was definitely not right about this. My thoughts processed what to do if I wanted to help the lady, maybe, but I feel like this is more than an invitation call. If I was to go to my balcony and look, I feel like I might accidentally fall from the spiritual trap. But then, what if she did need help? Am I bad / a scaredy cat and just ignore a person in need? So I just waited and listened. She didn't say anything else, just repeated, "Please help me." Another thought was that she really needed help. There are several condos with security guards in the lobby looking out, and she'd be able to ask one of them to call the police. I knew she was not in danger. I know she was not in the danger because if she was in danger of getting attacked, she'd be entering another condo to hide and get security to help her quickly. The most interesting thing, which reinforced my thought is being paranormal besides the 3 knocks, was that I stopped focusing on the scream. I can hear the scream as a cat meows. At that point, I just prayed for protection. Going to Google for the Lord's Prayer and YouTube for other prayers, asking God and Jesus to protect my space and my soul. That made me feel much better, but the screams were still going. About 10 to 15 minutes, her screams fade away, so I just went back to sleep. I know a lot of people will think they won't be able to go back to sleep. For me, I can because this is not my first time dealing with the paranormal. I used to need night light and someone there to watch me as I slept when I was a kid. But after seeing ghosts for the first time, then I was actually able to sleep without nightlight, which is kind of the reverse. I can go back to sleep because my faith is strong. Mind you, I was still screaming. Mind you, I was still scared though, but the experience this type of evil shit before, and God and the Bible prayer did help me with that as well. So the fact is, I'll be fine this time as well. One last interesting thing for that night was my dream after. There was no ghosts or demons in my dream. It was just, I was in my condo and there was a lot of clutter? With a lot, oh, clutter. In the dream, I quickly realized I was in the dream and wanted to wake up, but I couldn't. I had to put a lot of focus and energy to wake back up. It was around 4:30 a.m. at this point. For my Chinese background, I know when someone calls your name at night, don't answer it. Also, other Western paranormal shows and stories, I understand that 3 knocks are a request to enter your spiritual space. I don't know what I did or even caused this to happen. I was not watching horror or doing any witchy shit or Ouija boards. I wasn't even thinking about the paranormal. The only thing I can think of that happened is my mom is in China right now and she loves going to supernatural and temples and getting readings and talismans. I hope she's not the one that caused this, but I will ask her when she gets back, and she'll be doing what she was exactly doing on the 15th to the 16th. Just wanted to share my experience and ask if anyone experienced 3 knocks and what did you do or not do after. Maybe I'm all overthinking it and it's nothing, or maybe it's another paranormal experience. And that's that story. I realized I had read it before. My bad, guys.
I hadn't heard it, so it sounded pretty good to me.
I read it like 2 streams ago. My bad. I realized it like halfway through. I'm like, oh, I've already read this one. My bad. I'm now marking them, so I don't do that anymore. So
I can now talk out loud here at the Cryptid Sleeps. Don't feel bad for talking about microphones. We still will read here, but yes, as Inner Scare said, we can go all day talking about microphones, interfaces, USB mics. It doesn't matter. We are narrators, and I don't know how many other people besides me and Inner Scare right now. We are true tech geeks. We can sit and talk about this stuff for hours. I absolutely love it.
they're the better ones to ask. I'm just like, I use this mic. It worked good for me.
Hey, when I get new people asking me, they're like, hey, how do you make your voice sound so great? Blah, 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 blah. I have to go to the old school where I first started out. Blah, 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 blah. And then, I mean, this stuff you don't just magically, if you have the resources to just magically buy a very expensive setup, go for it. But make sure you're buying the right products.
Yes.
But just starting out, yeah, it's a little expensive, but you know, it pays off in the end.
My husband just scared me.
Inner Scare, yeah, that's where I'm doing my lives now, because I've always loved the way that 242 does it. We talk for a while, we cut up for a little bit, and then we'll get down to business, and then it's back to just cutting up. That way everyone's not bored.
Yeah. Well, and you know, my live streams used to just be a talking stream, and now I think a mix of both is really good, because I mean, we are narrators and people are coming to the channel to read. To read. For us to read, to listen to narrations. Look, my brain's broken. I'm 242. My brain's broken. Also, welcome Tina.
Yeah, Tina, she's so supportive. I absolutely love it. Good to see ya. Good to have you here.
So,
And the Inner Scare family. Very good to have you all here too.
do you want to do another fictional, or do you want to do a Let's Not Meet? slash creepy encounter.
I just picked. Oh, okay. So I have a fictional one pulled up.
Okay, then we'll do that. I'll go grab a Let's Not Meet. Go ahead when you're ready.
Oh, wait a minute. No. Oh, let's not. Oh, okay. Just it's on there. Sorry. All right. This one is entitled "No Comment." Do you know your whereabouts on the night of November 7th, 2003? No comment. Were you in the Druids in between? What? I'm sorry, guys. I don't know how to read military time. 2000 and 0 hours? No comment. Do you know Lindsay Miller? No comment. Have you ever met Lindsay Miller? No comment. Did you meet Lindsay Miller in the Druids Inn that night? No comment. Did you have a conversation with Lindsay? No comment. What did you talk about with Lindsay? No comment. Did you leave with Lindsay that night? No comment. On the screen, you'll see CCTV footage submitted as evidence number CPT-01, showing two people, a man and woman, leaving the pub that night at around midnight and walking towards the store circle. Do you know those two individuals? No comment. I put it to you that the woman is Lindsay Miller and that man is you. Do you have anything to say for yourself? No comment. When did you last see Lindsay Miller? No comment. If you turn on the screen, you'll see CCTV footage taken from the traffic camera submitted as evidence CPT-02. The timestamp is 30 minutes later and shows a man walking alone away from the stone circle. Do you know this man? No comment. Again, I put it to you that this man in the video is you. No comment. What happened to Lindsay Miller? No comment. Her body was mutilated, almost unrecognizable. Did you do that to her? No comment. Did you murder Lindsay Miller and dump her body into the bushes near the circle? No comment. Did you notice anything else near the circle that night? No comment. Think back. Really search your memory. No comment. Did you notice figures standing in the circle watching you? Silent treatment. He saw you. We all saw you. He saw your depravity. He saw you tear to pieces the last fetid shred of a soul you possessed. No comment. How did you get here? What? You don't remember being arrested, do you? You don't remember the police station? You don't remember entering this room? You don't even remember reaching the end of the road that traffic camera was on? No comment. Look at the footage again. What do you see? There is a figure in that footage following you. Do you recognize him? It's her, Lindsay Miller, not long after her death. Scarred by your evil, she's looking at you. I saw what you did by our circle, just as clearly as I see the fear on your face now. You desecrated the very ground you walked with our act of savagery this night. You're going to wake up soon, and you're going to see her regularly. There is nowhere you can run that she won't find you. The rest of your short-lived life will be lived in abject fear. Is there anything you wish to say? Remember, you have the right to remain silent. Good. Interview terminated on November 8th, 2023. I love that story, actually.
Very nice.
I like that one.
You can choose whether or not you want to do either a fictional or a Let's Not Meet next. Just so you have time to pick it up.
Oh, inner scare. I'm sorry. I have tried. My dad used to be in the military. I have tried it. I always read it wrong, or I always get called out for it. So I'm like, what the hell? I'll take a stab.
I mean, military time, when we're so used to the other way, I get it. It took me a while to get my head around it. Now I just remember it's regular time. Just take away 12, pretty much, if it's
So
anything over 12.
what is 0030?
Midnight at 3 minutes after midnight.
Is that what you say as far as pronunciating it as military time?
I think it'd be 30 hours. I think, or something like
Oh.
that. It's really weird how they say it too. Like, it's not, yeah.
And they're scared.
It's okay, Phoenix, we all know you can't subtract 12. He just goes back to ashes too often. That's the problem.
Cindy, it may be easy to read, but my poor brain, I'm telling you right now, the only thing other that I can read really good is sign language. I took sign language in school. I know it. So, but reading military time, I'm like, ugh, why do you all have this format? But
It does make sense because you don't have to worry about the 12 p.m. or a.m. If it's anything after 12, it's the afternoon. Anything before 12 is the morning. So it does make sense.
mm-hmm.
Look, I was in Army cadets for a while, so I had to know all that stuff.
Well, my father was in the military, and upon raising us, he always used the military time. Be home at 0700, blah, blah, whatever he said. And once I left, I was like, thank God I could just use be here by 3 p.m. So it was just like, sheesh. Let's see here.
They're all just still talking about military time. Apparently September uses all his stuff in military time.
Oh, he still does.
You had to be home by 7 a.m.
Oh, it's 00:30. You know what,
Apparently.
Interscare? I thought I had heard that in a bunch of action movies that I've seen with the military presence. I just didn't know what the dark meant. Thank you for explaining that.
I don't know what the dark means. Why the dark's added there, but look.
00:30, because it's after midnight, if I'm not mistaken, so it should still be dark. I think it's like
Maybe.
12:30.
I don't know. I'm not in the military. There's a reason I'm not in the military. I don't listen to rules very well. I make my own rules and then I break them.
Interscare, however you say 7 p.m. Don't make fun of me.
It would be 1900 hours.
Yeah, no, okay, 1900. I said 0700, so yeah, I do remember that. That's AM. Okay, I'm gonna shut up. It's your turn to read.
Alright, I will grab. Yeah, he just wrote it. Hold on, let me grab my story. Alright. Followed Home and Scared to Death by Cheesy Breadstick. And I love that name. Sorry. The scene happened when I was 21 years old. It was a small town outside a huge city in the Midwest. This was 1981, and I worked at a fast food place, and they started opening up until 3 a.m. My then husband worked for a bowling alley as a manager and was never off before 2 a.m. I was expecting my first child, and business was slow, so I was sent home around 1 a.m. In the town we lived in, there was a large private girls' college. Women were being warned to lock their car doors because 2 males were still on the loose that were targeting women around my age. They would sometimes follow them home and attack them or force a woman alone later at night off the road. The men were R-ing The men were R-ing or ending the woman's life. They had ended 3 women's lives by that point. 2 of the women were found on a deserted roads and 1 in her apartment. There was no description of these men or what kind of vehicles they were driving. I left work, climbed in my car, locked my doors, and started for home. The hair on the back of my head stood up on end, and my gut feeling told me something was very wrong. I figured out that I was being followed home. I took several turns around town trying to shake this car, but to no avail. The advice given was that if you thought you were being followed, to drive to a police station, and that is still what you should do. We had recently moved to this area, so I had no idea where the police station was. I was terrified, panicked, and couldn't think what to do. This was in the day of no cell phones, but the pay phones were made in different areas where you could drive up to them, sit in the driver's seat, put your window down, and use the payphone. Had a long cord enable you to stay in the car and talk. You still had to deposit money in order to talk to anyone, even if you called 911. I thought briefly about trying to get to one of those phones, but I was too scared and didn't think I could have a coin ready in time before these men could have time to approach me. My parents lived about 4 streets over from where I lived, and I decided the safest decision was to try to make it to my parents' house. I was still being followed when I got to my parents' house. There was a short block you could go around by my parents, and I went around this block about 3 times, and every time I did, I honked the horn. You would have thought laying on the horn would have discouraged these creeps from continuing to follow me, but it had no effect to anything. If anything, they moved closer behind me. I pulled into the driveway, and these creeps pulled right in behind me, turning their lights off, and I heard their doors open and shut. I was beyond terrified at this point, and they were out of their cars, one coming up to one side and the other one to the other side. My parents' house was a split level, and you pull up in front of a double car garage. In order to get to the house, you had to either go through the garage door or the front door, and the front door was to the left of the driveway, about 2 car lengths away, plus a set of steps. I laid on the horn again. They still kept coming. My dad, who was retired military, oftentimes stayed up late at night watching TV. Thank God he did that night. All of a sudden, he turned on the porch light and burst out the front door. He assessed the situation instantly and started yelling at these creeps to get the fuck off from my car, and while barreling down the steps towards them. At first, they didn't retreat very fast, but must have thought better. My dad is a very big boned, about 6'4". He had a brother that could play college football and wore size 15 Triple E shoes. He made to the front of the car and pounded on the hood, and before they were able to burn rubble reversing out of the driveway. While he was unable to get the license plate because they didn't have a front plate, he was able to describe them and give the make and model to the police. Police told me how fortunate I was that my dad had realized what dire situation I was in. I still get chills thinking back to that night. I remember it as if it was yesterday. My dad said he thought he heard the car honk more than once, and then he heard me in the driveway. He had just shut off the TV and was about to head for bed when I pulled in. Thank God my dad acts so quickly. I might not be writing this today. This incident has caused me to be hyper aware of my surroundings, and I never turn into my driveway without making sure I'm not being followed. Anyways, always be mindful of where you are and don't walk around with your headphones or your phone pressed to your ear. You never know when it'll be the optic moment for someone with ill intentions. Know your local police station is, and if you get chills, something is wrong, drive into a police station. The police are more than happy to help you out. It's better safe than sorry. Also, the police did capture those creeps about 2 weeks later, and they didn't get a 4th victim. They were both on probation for kidnapping and R-ing and serving their time, and decide that offing their victims left no witnesses. My dad is still my hero today. He quick action prevented me from being a 4th victim. And the color, make, and model of the car my dad described was a description of what they were driving when they were arrested. And that's the story.
What a roller coaster. Wow.
Thank you, Horror on the Rocks, for the $4.99.
horror.
He thought it was
Yes, Satan.
jerk. All right. That was this one.
He is such a smart ass.
He really is. We got some horror on the rocks.
When he goes live, I'm gonna head over there, I think.
Is he going live tonight?
He's always on live. Always.
He's just live 24/7. We just don't know it.
Yeah. I think I can every time I like hit Facebook, I see Horror on the Rocks is live. So I was like, okay, man. Cool.
He has addiction. It's called the live button.
Hey, you know what? I used to be scared. I think the very first live I did, no, I don't think, I know. The very first live I did was on Interscare's channel. I was sitting behind my computer shaking because I was like, oh my God, I mess up so much I can't edit out. Blah, blah, blah. He's like, dude, just read. It's fine.
Yeah.
So now I'm actually addicted to cold reads. That way people can see that we are real people, real voices. We goof up. It happens.
My least favorite was my brain goes, it's this word. And then I read it. It's this word. It's like, you told me it was this word the first time.
Look, Horror
There's
said,
a premiere tonight.
Actually, I was on his last one, and I think it was stories of prisoners. Oh, they were incredible. I don't know where he's getting his source material from, but I'll get it out of him.
Welcome, Kimberly. Kimberly.
Hi, Kimberly. I hope you and the hubby are good. I gotta get you a live stream on my channel ASAP.
Probably was talking to Horror on the Rocks.
Oh, gotcha.
There's context clues. I'm not normally very good at them, but I got them for once. Oh, also, remember, everyone that's here, make sure you hit that like button and make sure it feels it.
Yes, please do. Support my northern sister, 242. We haven't actually had a live in I don't know how many months where you were forcing me to get up at like 8 o'clock in the morning.
Yeah, well, I was trying to give you some time off. I mean, you really complained the last time. You said something about the chains chafing you, the cage was getting a little too small, the vacuum was starting to get noisy.
No, I think it's because you threatened to roast me for Thanksgiving. Either that was you, it might have been TLB, or it might have been Silver.
I can't remember if I threatened to roast you or not. To be fair, oh no, I did, but I was joking because it wasn't my Thanksgiving, because it was the month before. I was joking.
Oh, well, you have two people you hire for. That's awesome, Horror. That's absolutely awesome.
He has writers. Smart.
How's everyone doing? We're good. Yeah.
I also I have writers that I like. If I see they have written something, a lot of the times I'll go ask them. Funny enough, Grim is the reason I realized one of the writers had done another part of the series. I saw he put out part 4. I'm like, son of a, I'm the one who showed him this writer. And now he's past me. So I bugged the writer and him. And the writer's like, I thought I sent you that it was out. I was like, no, you didn't. And I was telling him, and he's like, I want to see a cage fight between you and Grim. I'm like, no, I'll get you the date.
I've got, of course, when I was the horror narrator on my other channel, which I haven't uploaded in I don't know how long. Anyway, I have a plethora of authors that are like, whatever's in the arsenal, it's good. Just narrate it. We don't care. Take it. Okay, cool. So to this day, and then I'm still getting, hit up by authors. They're like, will you read this? And I was like, okay. So I guess everyone forgets that I'm in the business now of putting people to sleep. I can't use SFX work in my sleep narrations. I don't want to, wake people up or scare them to death.
And thank you, Kimberly, for the subscribe. If you're looking for something closer to Back to Ashes, I do have 242 Slumbers as well, guys. I think it's in the description box. Did I add it to the description box? 42, did you add it to the description box? Yes, I did. It is there.
Okay. So let's see what's still ahead. Fictional. I've got one pulled up here. There's something here. Oh yes, Cindy, we're glad you're okay.
I read, yeah, it was a parking job and her fault. Because the heart was over top of the lot and I couldn't read it. Oh my god, my brain is so weird.
Then, then the woman, then the person drives off.
Yeah.
Clearly, they have insurance, so it kind of sucks.
Or they didn't want their insurance to go up.
That's true. So, Cindy, we're very sorry. People are just assholes, especially around this time of year.
Oh,
Everyone's
especially.
in a hurry to get nowhere. That's what I always say.
Yeah. Well, and then, well, so I was driving to go somewhere yesterday, and at what we call the annoying light near my house, there was 3 cars, one in the middle of the road, and 2 off to the sides pulled over. There had definitely been an accident there, but it has just like there's just a really bad snowfall and it's really wet here, so I was like, yeah, that tracks. This is like one of the worst lights for that. So I went a different way when I went home.
My husband always says that, Phoenix. Yeah, I mean, it's the truth. Everyone's in a hurry. Where do you have to be in like 2 seconds?
Dead.
If you have to be somewhere important, don't go pulling in through a grocery store or wherever it is you're going. Go to your appointment and then do your errands later. My grandfather always instilled me into that. He's like, if you got to go somewhere, go there first and then do everything afterwards.
Yeah. But
Okay.
around Christmas time, everyone's just rushing.
This is
She said she was reaching for her phone. Oh my god.
reaching for her phone. Now, she probably dropped her phone because she was already on
Probably.
it. That's what I say.
All right, go ahead and read your story.
Yes, ma'am. See, you all heard that. There went the whip.
It's so I can mute my mic.
Oh, okay. All right. This one's fiction, which is entitled Sick. I called in sick to work today. Sometimes that's not so bad. My head is stuffy, my body's achy, my hands and legs are kind of shaky. My eyes are weary and sort of blurry, my sinuses too have started hurting. My nose is dripping, my stomach bloated, my cheeks in fact are kind of swollen. With that, I called in sick. I thought the average flu for sure. Who wouldn't with what I've got? But something told me it was more than that when I turned the TV on. There were riots in Virginia, there was looting in New York. They were declaring martial law in towns I've never heard before. They were interviewing doctors who had learned of a disease. They mentioned that the plague began in Nashville, Tennessee. They interviewed a patient who was pointing at his eyes. He said, "There are spiders all around us. They'll lay their eggs inside us. These spiders here are poisonous." Then he dropped his hands and died. The doctor on the scene spoke of symptoms that he knew. He said, "A stuffy head and body aches. Your hands and legs will kind of shake. Your eyes are weary and may be blurry. There's a chance your sinuses might be hurting. Your nose is drippy, your stomach bloated, and your cheeks are almost always swollen. These symptoms are quite similar to the common cold or flu and can quickly lead to suicide because it affects your feelings too." In shock to hear the news, I felt I couldn't watch no more. I will not take this lying down and let them win this war. So I drove down to the market buying cans of spider spray. I purchased deadly foggers that will drive them all away. I placed them all throughout the house, 100 cans for sure. I proceeded to ignite each one and started on my cure. I sat back down, inhaling deep to fumigate their nests. My eyes would swell, but what the hell, no more will they infest. I sat there watching TV as I grinned from ear to ear, shouting out to all those doctors, "Hey, the cure has started here." I started feeling dizzy and my knees came to the floor. I could barely see the TV and my sinuses were sore. With every breath I took, I knew I'd save another life, and the spider's eggs within me will have no chance to multiply. But then I noticed something that had taken me off guard, a commercial telling parents that this movie's rated R. Denying my stupidity, I tried crawling to the door, but my pulse had dropped, my heart had stopped, and my nerves had caused my eyes to pop. And there I took my final breath and stared back at the screen, at the movie called Infection, which was done infecting me. They did a second autopsy since I was 33 years old, but they still ruled it a suicide, simply depressed from the common cold. Oof, I like that one.
Poetry's hard. That's all I ever think of whenever I hear poetry. Poetry's hard.
Right.
Yes, we are all very happy that Sydney is okay. No more letting random people drive around you. You have to be in a bubble now.
Mm-hmm. Be careful out there. It's the holiday season. Everyone wants to give and be nice and merry and cheery. No, they don't. They're aggravated and they're in a rush to get nowhere.
The rush to slide around.
Yeah.
Whee! 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 Oh God.
Are you okay? Are you having issues with spiders after that story now?
I was making a joke about the car sliding back and forth.
Oh.
I mean, having your car like slide when you want it to, fun. It slides when you don't want to, not so fun. Like turn around the corner, there's a car coming at you and you didn't know it, and your car doesn't want to stop. That didn't happen today. Nope, not one bit.
Let me tell you. Okay, I used to own a Chevrolet. Oh hell, what's it called? It was just on my mind. They're really teeny cars. It's not. Anyway, so this thing was, I mean, itty bitty because I love small cars. Anyway, whenever it snowed or iced, oh my God, that thing was like an ice skate. So yes, sliding all over the place, taking corners. I almost hit a cop. That was fun. Now I have a heavier car and it just slides a lot more in the rain.
Oh, welcome, Patty.
Hi, Patty's knees. You got into a head-on collision a few years back. Oh, I remember that story in her scare.
Oh, because of black ice. Yes. Oh, I hate black ice.
Yeah, black ice sucks. Okay, so where I'm at, I don't know. The global warming has just totally screwed our weather. So it no longer snow. Like right now, it should have been snowing, but it's not. And Christmas Day, sometimes it's almost 70 degrees outside. And I'm like, what's going on? So my state, probably around January, February, and March, we just get nothing but ice storms, just headaches. And I'm like, are you kidding me?
Yeah.
So
well, my
then
least
power goes out and blah, blah, blah.
Well, my least favorite thing is, so actually we got a first real good snowfall, which is really late. We normally have one in October here. And my least favorite thing is when it gets hot enough and starts melting, but not so hot enough that it fully like gets rid of it. So then everything underneath the snow is now melted. So you've got that layer of ice effort. Oh, it's terrible.
So do you all get so much snow or something like you get now? Do the salt trucks go around your streets up there or no?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. They do that all the time.
Okay. Right.
It's also not flat where I am, so there's hills and stuff, so they have to have like it's not normal salt. Because they've found out salt's really not good for plant life, so they use something else now. It's like a rock thing, and then there's something else in it too. But yeah, you're actually apparently salt's not good, which makes sense. I mean, salt the earth. I mean, makes sense.
It does, and then also it can technically tear up your tires and the paint on your car.
Yes, I'm pretty sure that's why I've got a lot of rust on that car, because it is from the 90s when they were using salt.
Right.
And the car's
I currently, I live on like the city bus line, and it's an emergency route.
Ooh.
So when I say the salt drivers come up and down this road, I'm not kidding. There's like 3 or 4. I mean, all day long. I'm like, okay with the damn salt. We only got an inch of snow.
I'm a school bus route, so we're also one of the places I get done first too.
Oh yeah, school buses too, city buses, school buses,
Yeah.
and it's an emergency route. So, but thank
Truth be
God I have a
told,
driver.
it isn't an emergency route, but the amount of emergency vehicles I see get past me sometimes, it should be.
Yeah, well, I mean, I like living on this road, considering the fact that I don't have to. Excuse me, I don't really have to worry about getting out of my neighborhood, unless of course we have a massive ice storm.
Yeah.
Salt trucks can't really do anything about that.
No, they can't. All right, I'll read the next
Right.
story. One
Yeah,
moment.
you're it.
I just wanted a coffee before I did that. With the mic off. All right.
Are you reading the glitch in the Matrix because you're the queen of it? There's been a request for it.
There's been a request for glitches. Hold on 1 second. I've changed my mind. I'm doing something else.
All right. Which one were you going to do? Let's
I
not
was
meet.
going to do a fictional because fictional is beating everyone else.
Fictional? Okay, I'll read another fictional. You're the queen of glitch in the Matrix, so.
Let me just think of which one's good. I did that one already, so I'm just going to mark that one down.
Oh, sorry, Patty's niece. Yeah, I forgot everyone lives all over the place.
Everyone lives everywhere. Let's go with that one.
40, she likes to be early with her things, just like I'm going to try to be early tomorrow with no technical difficulties.
I'm not that early. I mean, it's late for me, but I used to go to bed at 8 my time, so I mean.
Well, I'm saying you like to do your stuff like these live streams. You like to do yours early and get it out of the way so you can go back to life. Take care of your husband and whatever it is you got to do.
It's also because I used to basically when the stream was over, I'd be winding down to go to bed. So, but things might be changing. So the future might be changing as always. Everything's in the air right now. All right, I'm gonna read.
Cindy's Cleveland. Oh, you're still going to be on. Yes, I'll be on tomorrow night. Cindy. Anyway, I'm sorry.
It's all good. Neighborhood Glitch by Taylor Made. I heard about this sub through a neighbor who urged me to share our story. This happened in the summer at a barbecue, and I had some of the neighbors on our street. Typical hot dogs, hamburgers, potato salad. I said a compliment to my next door neighbor about how I should make my green salad, but the heat wouldn't permit it. This is important to remember for later. The afternoon carried on as normal. When the sun started to set, I suggested we get a game of cornhole going. I have a board that I painted myself that glows in the dark with LED lights around the board and have a bag that also glows 4 pink and 4 green. We paired up and separated the bags, 4 green, 4 pink, around 3 rounds, and then other team is up for 3 points, and now it's my turn. I throw the first bag, pink, boom, it sinks perfectly into the hole, and you can see the pink illuminating through the hole clear as day. Other team lets out a typical ugh sound as my partner and I cheer our neighbor, who was about to our neighbors who were just watching all cheering. We continue taking on turns, throwing our bags, match ends. As the other side starts to collect the bags, I see that both look around for the pink bag that I had directly in, and they can't find it anywhere. There are no kids or pets to blame, and I thought maybe the other person jokingly hid the bag. They both tell me they haven't touched it and looked equally confused. Now, all of us spend the next 20 minutes searching my tiny backyard, dumping the trash can out, looking in the neighbor's yard for the bag. To no avail, the bag was never found. So we called the game and figured we'd find it later. We all kind of exchanged that strange face with each other because if you ever played cornhole, you know when a bag sinks into the hole, there's really not any other place for it to go. Besides under the board, of course. But whatever. I brushed it off and started tying up a bit, cleaning the plates and emptying cups, when I noticed the table with all the food on it, and right in the center is a freaking salad. Did someone come late and bring the salad? I'm just staring there, and I notice not only is there a salad, but it's my sole salad bowl. I am floored. I don't want to sound crazy, so I casually asked each neighbor if it was theirs and brought out the salad, and they all said no. The neighbor I had made the comment to about the salad, but knowing it wouldn't be good in the weather, remember me saying that and seeing the bowl, but never paid attention to what was in it. As the night ends, I cleaned up the rest of the mess and I decided to look again for the bag and never did find it. My friend inside washing dishes and asked me whose salad bowl did this belong to. I had figured maybe it was my salad bowl and forgot I had a bowl and forgot that the bowl was mine, except that when we went to put it away, my exact same bowl was already in the cupboard. I just stood there stunned. How could this be? They had even the same tiny piece of price sticker on the bottom of the bowl that no matter how hard I scrubbed at it, I couldn't get it off. And a clear sticky part remained. I'm a logical thinker, and I truly believe everything can be explained away some way, somehow. So I still tell myself that this has to be a case of maybe the bag got picked up or accidentally, and maybe the two bowls are identical and maybe I just forgot. But no one's claimed the bowl or found the bag, so it will always leave this little doubt in my mind of what really happened that day. Yes.
That was a good one.
And I feel like I read that one on the stream before. Damn it.
I think to be honest, it's just everyone enjoying, the cold read live.
I know, but I know Sydney has been here before and has been here for all of them, and I'm like, I'm sorry, Sydney, if you're hearing the same ones again. You can beat me up later.
She'll sometimes comment on my videos like, I think I've heard, or she'll say, I've heard a few of these stories before, but it always sounds different when you tell it. And that's the way I always feel. If another narrator read it, another narrator will read it in their own way. It'll sound different.
But I'm the one that read it last time too. It's the same narrator. That's the problem.
Well, maybe you read it differently.
Oh, I know I did. I always make mistakes in different spots. It's always different spots, except for like
I forever am reading stories. I've already read it before because you don't keep track of those. I mean, you read them and then you just move on to the next story.
Yeah.
And months and months later, you look at the story you've already read and you're like, oh, this looks new. Let's read this. And you've already done it.
Well, this is off my spreadsheet, so these are all ones I have okay to read. But I've been putting little dashes next to them, and I just noticed the dash. I was like, no, I've read that one.
I'm not that organized. I come in here when it's time to record. I pull up and open all the stories. I don't even read them. If they just look good and lengthy, I read them. And during my last crazy live, I didn't pay attention to a true crime story, and it completely I think it scarred everyone.
Oh jeez.
It did. It was I didn't read it, but I kept reading because I hate stopping in the middle of a story. But
yeah,
that case I probably shouldn't have read out loud. It was pretty gruesome.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, that creepy encounter one where I have to go over the R word and the K word and try to figure out which words. I'm like, R word and unaliving. Those are YouTube safe.
Oh well, I say the K word all the time. Now the R word, I don't really read that. I say essayed, but Hina, I think I remember that. But yes, Hina, you're a member, so of course it's members only. Nobody else can be traumatized by that story. Okay, in a nutshell, 242. It was about a woman who unalived her baby into microwave. That's all I'm going to say.
Oh,
so, yeah,
I think I've heard that case.
Yes, it scarred everyone that I read that. I was
because it had a microwave involved, and microwaves are horrible.
Well, I am a true crime fanatic, and I don't want to sound like I'm insensitive or that I don't care, but it, that's, it feeds me. It like holds my attention. I'm obsessed with true crime, no matter how, grotesque or how disgusting it is. I still read it, watch it, listen to it. I eat it for breakfast, lunch, and dinner.
I oh, apparently Sydney had it muted on you.
She did, and she made sure. And I was like, "Oh, Cindy, I totally forgot." Um, she doesn't like anything involving children or animals. So,
Sydney, skip tomorrow's video or
oh, for you?
Sundays. Yes, skip my video for Sunday. You will not want to listen to it. It has animal cruelty and child abuse in it, or child cruelty. It has both. I hit both
I
the
don't know.
things.
I don't know if it's the abuse that bothers everyone. I think it's like if it involves like unaliving a child or something.
It is
I don't
both. It is both.
know. Cindy said okay.
It is both.
Yes, Interscare Wifey, true crime is amazing. And with my talent, especially as the later it gets, right around midnight, my voice for some reason drops down into my subharmonics, and I love narrating true crime. It's it's just something I eat up, and a lot of people on my channel are like, no, we're gonna skip those.
Which is fair. I mean, it takes certain people because sometimes it matters how much details you go into, right?
Well, I like to read all of it, and then here lately, especially with the cursing and whatnot, I've just decided to read everything raw, except for crime, because you know what happens to most victims. I won't
Nothing
read,
good.
yeah, I'll still use fluff words, so because I don't want to get demonetized and yelled at.
Yes. And YouTube doesn't like the unaliving proper word very much. Either when it comes to self-induced or someone else does it, it doesn't like either one of those words. It's fine with unaliving, but not the real words, which I personally hate. I wish we could just use the real words because that's what we use to describe it.
You know what's weird though is I watch so many crime video channels on YouTube,
Mhm.
and they say everything, the R word, they say the K word. I mean, they say it all. So I'm like, if they're not getting in trouble,
Because YouTube likes true crime because they bring in a lot of people to watch them, while narrators don't get nearly as much.
yeah, that's true. They do have all I forgot that most true crime narrators, the big ones, they have special privileges, but they also spend a lot of money for that information. It's
Yeah.
crazy what all goes into it. I watched a show on Hulu that was pretty good. Not my first choice, but had me hooked. Ooh, I'd be interested in knowing what that is. Okay, I'm gonna shut up. I
Uh,
have
I was gonna
another.
say, did you want to do fictional or do you want to do a ghost story?
I have a fictional pulled up.
Okay, I'll get a ghost one up and running.
You want a ghost one? Okay. Let me see here. Blah blah blah. So many channels squeak by saying all the bad words. I mean,
Yeah.
I'll say this and then I'll get to the story. I am a grown man reading to grown adults.
Yes.
My channel is also um, age restricted, and no, it's not pointed toward the kids. Although, just yesterday, I had a 12-year-old in my comment section that has been listening to my video. I can't control that. That's
No.
up to the parents and all that. Kids are going to do what they're going to do, but I read to adults. I mean, even in my music or whatnot, I can hear everything. I'm fine. I don't need you to water it down for me. I'm grown. And sometimes, depending on the story or the case, using the words that are already there keeps the story authentic. You start using fluff words and it's like, oh,
I
forget
know.
this.
I swear I do that. I just know YouTube flags certain words, and when it comes to basically crimes, they get very likely to demonetize you. And if it gets too bad, they will take your whole monetization away. So.
Oh yeah, they do. But then there's still, crime videos around. They're pumping out content like crazy. And they've been able to keep their channel, not demonetized or nothing. I'm like, I think YouTube just likes picking on us.
Yes, completely.
To be honest. Okay, I'm going to type this down and read the story. Tina, what was that called? She said Blood Mountain. All right, guys, I'm sorry. Let me type this down. Blood Mountain on Hulu.
Apparently, September has
Okay.
a 12-year-old using their dad's account to listen to his channel. Wow. I actually know of I think the youngest I have seen was someone who just turned 12 because they had a video on their channel saying, I just turned 12. I'm like, I had an 11-year-old listening to my channel. I am not for 11-year-olds.
And Air Scare brings up a great point. There needs to be a YouTube for adults, just like there's a YouTube for kids, where you can
Yes.
say whatever you want and still be monetized, but only on the adults app. Absolutely agree with that.
Yes.
And yeah, never mind. I'm gonna shut up.
Go ahead,
We'll be here.
narrate. Go narrate.
Okay, yeah. Okay. All right, you all. This is a fictional story, of course, and the title is I Hate Clowns. Now let me get some water. I hate clowns. I always have. When I was a child, every time I went to the circus, I would be crying and screaming at the very sight of them. Looking back now, in every picture of me back then at the circus or nearest a clown, I'm crying, looking absolutely terrified. It's a wonder that my parents had no clue about my phobia. Once, years later, I was driving to work and looked into my rearview mirror, and there was a clown driving behind me. I was so scared I had to pull over to calm myself down. Upon reflection, I realized that it was probably someone going to work to a children's party or something. But at the time, it didn't matter. I've always avoided clowns whenever I could, until recently. My sister asked me to dress up as a clown for my nephew's 4th birthday party coming up next month. Please, Jacob, he loves clowns. I know you have a thing about them, but it's not a thing, Liz. It's a phobia, I protested. Liz replied, okay, I get that, but you're the only one he would feel comfortable asking this, especially since you're his favorite uncle. Please. Begrudgingly, I agreed. As a computer programmer, I'm great at figuring things out, and I'm going to figure this out too. I decided to go see a therapist who specializes in exposure therapy. Her name was Dr. Hamiza. Okay, Jacob, so do you have a theory about the roots of this phobia? Dr. Hamiza said. Well, if I had to guess, I think it stems from my abusive father. All of my life, I've had to read his expressions to know whether or not he was mad, so I could predict it if I would get beat. I've done that with everyone else in my life too, but with clowns, their expression never matches their real expression. They have this painted on smile. You never know what you're really, excuse me, you never know what they're really thinking. That's what freaks me out. We began treatment. We began a treatment plan for me to begin exposure therapy at home. First day, I was to put on the nose. Okay, this isn't so bad, I thought. The next day, the gloves, and then the hair, the outfit, etc. Finally, 2 weeks had gone by, and I had managed to tolerate having the entire costume on, even the makeup. My wife and I were standing in the bathroom mirror on that last day, staring at my reflection. I was smiling. See, babe, you did it. You conquered your fear. I'm so proud of you, she said. But something isn't right about my reflection. It started morphing. The smile looked more and more sinister, almost like a sneer. Then it slowly reached up, revealing a butcher knife, burst through the mirror, and began stabbing my wife. We were both screaming. So you see, Detective Finnerman, I have no idea why my hands and body are covered in blood, or why you found the knife in my hands when you found me. That one was my favorite story of the night. I love those twists at the end. Even when I'm narrating, I'm still like, oh my God. I'm back and ready to read. I mean, listen about clown.
He's just gonna throw you
Or
into a pool of clowns. It'll be fine. Ugh. Ugh.
wifey, wifey hates clowns. So I love this story. Oh, I'm sorry. I'm not really scared of clowns. It's just like Halloween to me. They put it on, you take it off, but I understand people's phobias.
Apparently, Sydney's the live stream keeps closing out on Sydney. That's weird.
It keeps crashing. Are you watching the streams on your phone, a tablet,
She said just
a
her
TV,
laptop.
your laptop? I wonder if it needs to be updated or if you need to uninstall it and then reinstall it.
Can we try to turn it off and back on? So that's what through my head. Literally went through my head.
Oh yeah, the cable expression. Turn it off, turn it back on. Turn it off for a minute, turn it back on.
My least favorite was when you're phoning the internet company. Have you tried to do this online? The reason I'm phoning you is because my internet's not working. Shut the just shut up. It's like, you think I would be on the phone with a human being if I had a choice?
My favorite is when they said, "Have you rebooted the modem and router?" Yes, you should see it in your system. You can
Yes,
send a signal out to reset it. You can see I've clearly unplugged this thing. It
twice,
drives me insane.
maybe 3 times.
Yeah.
All right, the next story is going to be the last one for the night.
Last one.
Yeah. Update. Yeah, we're saying the same thing. All right, I'll read the last one, guys. It's a ghost story. Unexplainable incident that's burned into my brain by Chris 41001. Just a quick backstory. I grew up in provincial Rhode Island, and everyone who lived there knows it's very busy and noisy all day. The retail buses, traffic, businesses everywhere, but at night it gets very quiet and very eerie sometimes. This story is about an incident that happened to me when I was 15 and got my first job at McDonald's. And this gives me chills every time I think about it. I was 15 and I just got hired at McDonald's down the street from where I lived. It was perfect because I could get to it and from work without worrying about getting a ride from my parents. While working there, I met some kids my age that I became close with. Unfortunately, they weren't the greatest kids. They were rebellious. They would clown around at work, act disrespectful to customers, typical 90s punks. I slowly started to become like them. I began disrespecting my parents, which was totally not like me, but I was always the need that didn't, but I always didn't have friends, so I wanted to fit in. Side note, I'm very sheltered growing up and didn't really get around much because my parents were very overprotective of me. One night around 10 p.m., I finished watching Monday Night Raw and then downstairs to grab something to eat. I opened the fridge and heard my dad's footstep. He wore these slippers that tapped loudly on the tile floor. "Chris, I asked you all day to take out the trash. They're coming tomorrow, so do it now." Now, normally, I would just have taken it out the first time he asked me, but now that I was getting older and becoming a smart ass, I didn't think I would be my responsibility anymore. "I work now and go to school. You take it out," I replied. My dad's eyes got wider as I never spoke to him in that way before. He leaned in and said softly, "As long as you live here, you will help out. Now take out the trash or leave." I called his bluff, and rather than just simply taking the trash out, I rebelled like a dumb teen that I was. "Fine, I'll leave. And if you're going to kick me out for that, don't bother looking for me. I'm done living in this stupid house," I said as I opened the door and slammed it. I walked towards the McDonald's to see if any of my friends were there, and they weren't. Just the maintenance guy finishing up cleaning. Of course, all night it was raining, so I had to find somewhere else to go to stay dry. There was a bridge with an overpass a little way down the street, so I started walking towards it. The whole time I'm regretting what I did and wishing I just could take out the damn trash. I finally get to the bridge and I climb up the hill to that little section in the corner to stay out of view. I remember school learning to go here in case of a tornado, so I knew it was safe. I'm patient and stubbornly waiting, assuming that my parents would call the cops, which in my mind would show me that they cared. An hour goes by, nothing. No sirens, no cars were even on the road. It was getting pretty cold, but I promised myself I wouldn't give in. I crossed my arms over my legs and fell asleep. I woke up violently from a semi wailing on the horn over the overpass. I looked all around confused. How long was I out for? I looked towards the McDonald's and saw an old man in a gray suit sitting at the bus stop. It was weird. He was sitting still facing forward. I assumed it must be 5 a.m. since he was waiting for the bus. I stood up very upset that my parents never tried to find me and began walking towards that bus stop. Now, I'm a very outgoing person and I trust my gut. As I walked closer to the old guy, I didn't get any negative vibes as I approached him. He slowly turned his head and looked at me and smiled. Not a creepy or uncomfortable smile, a general peaceful smile. I smirked back and decided instead of going home, maybe I could vent to this guy and get some advice. I asked if he minded if I sat down. He smiled again and gestured towards a seat. "Is everything okay?" he asked with concern. "Yeah, I just ran away from home. My parents don't respect me anymore and how much I do all day," I said and began telling him the story. And I noticed as time went by, he was becoming more and more anxious and his smile began turning into a frown. He began to start breathing loudly as he cut me off dead-sentence and said, "You need to go home now," with a stern voice. I was confused. I figured maybe his bus was coming soon and he wanted to say that before he left. I looked down in frustration because that's not what I wanted to hear. Suddenly I felt a strong grip on my arm. He grabbed me and looked me dead in my eyes. His eyes were terrifying at this point, bloodshot and wider, and I was shaking in fear, totally thrown off guard for his complete switch in personality. He literally was shaking me like he was afraid of something. He kept looking down the street and then back into my eyes. "You need to go home now," he screamed at me. At this point, this guy was starting to scare me, so I stood up and nodded. He let go of my arm. Nervous, I started walking back to my house. I figured my mom was already up making coffee, so my plan of sneaking back into the house and hiding in the basement was not going to happen. Just to see if she'd be up, I looked at my watch. It was 1:30 a.m. My heart stopped and my throat became dry. Why was this man at the bus stop at 1:30 a.m. when the buses aren't even running? I turned back towards him to look at him and he was gone. Now I'm scared, confused, and I need to get home. I used a spare key to get into the house. I opened the door quietly and everyone was asleep. I slowly opened the basement door and made my way downstairs to the storage area in the back. I buried myself under bags of clothes so they wouldn't find me. Figured I could get some sleep. The image of that guy just popping into my head and I was so freaked out it just made no sense. Just then, I heard loud sirens passing by. Not just one. Multiple bursts of sirens coming every 10 seconds or so. I smiled, thinking I won. My parents called the cops looking for me. My plan worked. And now I'll make them worry until morning and regret kicking me out. I made myself a little bed and covered myself up to stay hidden and fall asleep. I woke up to hear my mother sobbing upstairs. I looked outside of the little basement window and saw daylight, so I figured I'd go upstairs and get my apology. I opened the basement door and walked into the kitchen. My mother was sitting at the dining room table with her head in her hands. She immediately looked up at me and gasped. She looked up at me and ran over and hugged me so tight. "I thought you were dead," she muddled into my jacket. I slowly pulled away and looked confused. "Why would you think that?" I asked, and she was And what she said next sent chills down my entire spine. She said last night around 1:40 a.m., a drunk driver crashed into a bus stop in front of the McDonald's. It was completely destroyed. I started breathing heavy and realized the man had saved my life. If he didn't tell me to leave when he did, I would have been sitting there and would have been killed. So many emotions were running through me, I didn't know how to handle it. So I just hugged my mother and immediately began to cry. I apologized and realized that I missed the old me. I almost got myself killed for my own stubborn stupidity. I dropped those friends and got into a new crowd at school. And from that point on, anytime the trash was full, I took it out. I don't know who or what that was at the bus stop, but thank you for saving my life.
That was a really good story.
Yeah, I've read that one already for, I haven't put it on my channel yet, but it's already read and I knew it was a really good one. I wanted to end on a good note. Yeah.
Well,
thank you everyone for joining us today. Was there anything you wanted to say about your channel before we continue? Before we end?
there's a few announcements I'll make. I hate to make the plugs here on your channel, but we are friends. So okay. Back to Ashes is now still being, or I'm sorry, the stories on Back to Ashes are still being uploaded on the channel, and also Back to Ashes is now on Spotify and Apple Podcast. Every time I upload a narration, the podcast version of it will go straight to both my podcast platforms, and you can listen to them there if you don't want to open up YouTube. And tomorrow, I know everyone's in different time zone, 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Me and my brother in horror, the Grim Reaper's Nightmare, or as he's changed his name, I Am Grim, will be going live at 8 p.m. No technical difficulties. Hang on a second. This guy sounds just like Phoenix Fire, so crazy. Horror, you asshole. Oh God. At some point I'll talk horror on the rocks into inviting me to his channel. Anyway, that's it. I upload every single day. So as this
Crazy,
is my
man.
job. So anyway, how about you, 42? What do you got going on?
What's the name of the podcast?
Name of the podcast, Back to Ashes.
Still Back
on
to
both
Ashes?
platforms.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, I was going to, in case anyone doesn't know, I also have a podcast. It's the same stuff that goes on to 242 Reads, but it's called 242 Storytime, no underscore. So and it is also on Spotify, Google, pretty much all the major things. This Sunday coming up is going to be fictional stories for you guys, but if you aren't able to deal with child or dog endangerment, it's not, or even death, is not a good idea to listen to that one. But also the other announcement I wanted to say is that I have changed my music on my channel, so it will have a different feel to it as well. So just to give you guys a heads up. And that's everything from me. So thank you so much, Phoenix Fire, or Back to Ashes, whatever you like to be called now.
Phoenix. Just Phoenix.
I know. I'm just making jokes. Thank you so much for joining me this evening. Thank you, everyone, for joining us for this live stream and the live reading. I hope you guys have a very good evening, and I will see you next Friday. Bye.
Bye, everyone.